In this video, I'll uncover the top things that you need to know in order to get started with the Mediterranean diet. They saw these countries around the Mediterranean Sea having some better quality health. They had better cardiovascular health. They had just, better health overall. You live in many of these countries that offer a lot of processed food to the people. Essentially, these are people who are struggling with weight loss because they're eating processed food, they're eating a ton of toxic, unnatural ingredients, they're eating foods that they can't even really understand half the ingredients within the package. It's going to be very important for cellular health, brain health, neurological health, the whole deal. I mean, this is one of the reasons that people who eat a lot of fish are so healthy and they typically do not suffer from neurological disorders. Now, there's so many different diets out there, and they all really go through their phases of popularity. There was a time when everybody had to be on the paleo diet, and it was the hottest thing out there. And then, of course, the ketogenic diet came and they kind of dismantled that. So now everybody wants to follow the ketogenic diet. But one of the diets that many people aren't talking about is a diet that's been highly studied in research and one that has been really proven to help you greatly improve your health. And that's the Mediterranean diet. So that's why in this video, we're going to talk about how to get started with the Mediterranean diet. We're first going to talk about, the basics of what it is, some of the science behind it as to how it can help you improve your health, and then of course what you should eat and what you should avoid well on the Mediterranean diet. Now, this diet has been of particular interest to me as of lately because according to my ancestry reports, my DNA reports, my genetics, this is the diet that I'm supposed to follow. So anyway, it's been of interest of mine, and so I want to share that with you. So stick around to the end, but before we get started, I'm Dr. Zyrowski, and welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, it's a pleasure to have you here. Be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification, and join our notification community. That way it can help you excel your health and your life. Let's go ahead and dive right in and first talk about what is a Mediterranean diet. So this is a diet that was started, it was researched about over 50 years ago. And what they did is they took 13,000 men and they just looked at their health, right? They were looking at some of these different countries where their health wasn't so great. The Northern European countries, America, and then of course they saw these countries with their health not so great, but they saw these countries around the Mediterranean Sea having some better quality health. So they wanted to know what was going on. They were interested in them. Why were they so much healthier? So they did studies on them, and what they found is that they had better cardiovascular health. They had just, better health overall. Now, when we look at the Mediterranean diet, it's based on traditional foods the countries ate back in the 1960s, right? This is when this study really began back then, and they wanted to really see what they were doing. And so this is what the diet is based off of, the traditional foods they ate. Now, there's multiple versions of the Mediterranean diet. Now, that's something that's important to consider because when we talk about the Mediterranean diet, the Mediterranean Sea, and all the countries around it, they basically all have variable diets, right? If you were in Greece, you ate a certain way. If you were in Italy, you ate a certain way. So what we want to do is kind of just, cut through the clutter and just talk about the basics of starting the Mediterranean diet and not get too caught up in all the different variables of it. Now, one of the things you're going to notice about the Mediterranean diet is it is a diet that's really based on whole foods. I mean, it's just eating good quality, wholesome foods. It's that simple. So let's go ahead and talk about this diet and some of the benefits it has to offer. Now, one of the things it's going to do is it's going to help promote weight loss. Plenty of research out there saying that if you follow the Mediterranean diet, you're going to lose a lot of weight, right? Because this is a good whole food based diet, right? If you live in America, you live in many of these countries that offer a lot of processed food to the people. Essentially, these are people who are struggling with weight loss because they're eating processed food. They're eating a ton of toxic, unnatural ingredients. They're eating foods that they can't even really understand half the ingredients within the package. So we want to really follow a good whole food based diet like the Mediterranean diet if we want to start losing weight. A lot of people think that you have to go straight from, eating the standard American diet to the ketogenic diet if you want to actually get better health and you want to lose weight. But the truth is following a good quality whole food diet is going to do magic for you. So we want to make sure that, we take that into consideration when we consider weight loss and just improving our overall health. The next thing here is it really has been shown to help prevent heart attacks and also strokes. One of the things that the Mediterranean diet has been really shown to do very well is really help improve cardiovascular health. It's one of the things that they noticed when they did this study back in the day. They basically went and found that many of these men had good cardiovascular health. Many of the men from the Northern European countries, from America, did not necessarily have good cardiovascular health. So very good for that. It's going to help prevent type 2 diabetes, which is very important. I mean, this is a thing that so many people are struggling with today. So this is a good diet that's going to help with that. It's going to help reduce the risk of dementia, reduce the risk of Parkinson's, okay, neurologically based disorders, brain deterioration, neurological deterioration. Want to make sure that we're supporting our nervous system. The Mediterranean diet does so, and also just basically helps with premature death, okay? When you look at all these different ways that the Mediterranean diet can help you, these are things that people are really struggling with today. I mean, if you look at cardiovascular events alone, I mean, there's 1 in 3 people who die prematurely from a heart attack. So this is something that many people are struggling with, and the Mediterranean diet can really help them. Let's go ahead and talk about what you eat well on the Mediterranean diet, because obviously this is really important because this is the basis of the diet. Now, first of all, vegetables is a big staple in the diet, okay? These people are eating a lot of good, healthy, green leafy vegetables. These people are eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables. Vegetables is one of the major bases of this diet. Now, right here in this green section, this is basically highlighted green because these are the things that you're supposed to eat in abundance while on the Mediterranean diet. So lots of vegetables, lots of fruit. Now, when you look at fruit, if you're someone who is maybe a diabetic, somebody who is trying to lose weight, you're going to not want to get into the big fruits, the high sugar fruits, the high glycemic index fruits. You're going to want to stick more to things like berries, very micronutrient dense, low glycemic index. It's going to be a little bit more beneficial for you if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to reverse a insulin resistance issue or maybe a hormonal imbalance. You want to stick to the lower glycemic fruits here. A lot of nuts, seeds, legumes, potatoes, and then of course whole grains is a big staple in the diet as well. Now this is something people are going to look at and go like, well, you know, why are you promoting whole grains? I didn't make the diet. You know, this is something that existed way beyond my time here. So when we look at whole grains, what I really have people do here is I have them eat good quality grains, okay? If you're going to do anything, if you're going to eat whole grains, if you want to eat bread, eating like good sprouted whole grains, like an Ezekiel bread, or just, you know, minimizing the intake of it altogether is not a bad idea either. I mean, there's some people, this is going to be a kryptonite food for them. They just shouldn't be eating them because they disrupt them. Maybe they have celiac or whatever it is. Maybe there's a reason that you need to stay away from grains altogether, then just avoid it. It's not a big deal. It's not a reason to write off this diet and say that you can't do it. So if you don't want to do whole grains, then of course just pull it out. Maybe you can't do it, pull it out. And if you want to add in grains, of course, just make better choices there, right? I mean, make sure you're sticking to, like I said, a sprouted whole grain. Next here is fish and seafood. So remember, these were countries surrounding the Mediterranean Sea. And so they ate a lot of fish, they ate a lot of seafood. This is really good. They're going to be rich in omega-3s. These, the fish and the seafood, it's going to have a lot of DHA in it. It's going to be very important for cellular health, brain health, neurological health, the whole deal. I mean, this is one of the reasons that people who eat a lot of fish are so healthy and they typically do not suffer from neurological disorders. So lots of fish and seafood, lots of extra virgin olive oil. This was a big staple for these people. And it's something that is just so healthy. I mean, when you look at olive oil or extra virgin olive oil, I mean, loaded with antioxidants, all kinds of different, you know, anti-cancer nutrients in it. Very powerful, very good stuff there. And then lots of herbs and spices. So as I mentioned before, these are the foods that you're going to basically consume in an abundance right here. Now, on this section over here, this is in yellow because this is food that is more like eat it rarely, you know, eat it few and far between. You know, it's not the food that you're going to eat in abundance, but still an important part of the diet. So poultry, cheese, eggs, yogurt, and red meat, okay? And I don't get too crazy about like, well, only eat this in rarity because, I mean, when we look at a lot of these foods here, they're very good, healthy foods. I mean, you look at eggs, it's considered one of the, you know, powerful superfoods, one of the most perfect foods. It's got, you know, good balanced fats and proteins and everything that you need in it. And so eggs are great for you. One of the big things that they would stress in this section here is just eat red meat rarely. It's not that you need to avoid red meat altogether. It's just that you would eat it more on the rare, okay? So eat this in abundance, eat this a little bit less, and then eat red meat rarely, okay? This is according to the Mediterranean diet. Let's go ahead and talk about what you need to avoid. Now, one of the things I mentioned about this diet is it's just a good whole food, wholesome diet, you know, and this is where these foods right here is where you get into a lot of problems when you start looking at like America and a lot of the Northern European countries that this study was referring to when they said they weren't as healthy. So first here is going to be soda, okay? Now just think of it this way. If you're having anything where you're taking, you know, table sugar and putting it into it, then then that's gonna not be a very healthy food for you, right? If it's not naturally just found in nature, then it's not gonna be good for you. That's why like people get a little bit crazy about eating fruits and how they have all this sugar in them. But the truth is the fruits are not what is causing all the problems in people, right? It's all the added sugar. And so we gotta make sure we're staying away from the sodas, things like ice cream, and like I said, anything with added sugar. And that's a lot of things that people are eating out there today, candy, all kinds of sweets. Now we also want to make sure that we're staying away from refined grains, because we talked about whole grains and I recommend eating sprouted grains. One of the things you want to stay away from is like the bleached white flours, the bleached white pastas, all these different refined grains out there that are not good for you. So stay away from that because they do nothing to promote health and they aren't good for you. And I can argue that all day long. Make sure you're staying away from these refined grains. Hydrogenated oils are another thing that you want to stay away from. These different trans fat, these low quality oils, these different like sunflower oils and things of that nature. We want to make sure that we're sticking to really good high quality oils and fats. Olive oil would be a really good one, which we already talked about. Avocado oil would be a great oil to cook with because it's great at high heat. And then coconut oil is good as well and also is stable at some pretty decent temperatures as well. So, you know, making sure that we're sticking to the good quality oils is important because it's very important for overall health, but also if we get into these bad oils, they're highly inflammatory, not good for us. We want to make sure we're staying away from all processed food. I mentioned this already, right? Stay away from all the different foods that you're going and picking up at the grocery store that has 30 different ingredients in them that you can't pronounce. Stay away from that stuff. And then of course, make sure that you are staying away from the low fat foods. You know, many of the big health organizations like the American Heart Association, they promoted eating low fat foods for so many years. So we want to make sure that we're just eating full fat, right? If we're going to eat yogurt, we want full fat yogurt. We want to make sure that we get like full fat cheese. We want to get full fat dairy if you're having dairy, but stay away from all that low fat stuff. Next on our list here that we need to discuss is what do you drink well on the Mediterranean diet? So like I said, these are just simple people eating foods and drink from the earth basically. Water is a major one, right? That's going to be the key here, is staying away from all the different nonsense that people drink today, right? Energy drinks, all that stuff. So drink a lot of water. They like the red wine, not going to lie. And then also coffee and tea are considered acceptable too, well on the Mediterranean diet. So give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends. Let me know in the comment section below your experience with the Mediterranean diet, or if you're going to follow it yourself, I'd love to know. Also be sure to check out this video I did over here on the ketogenic diet, right? And so there's no perfect diet for everybody out there. Maybe the Mediterranean diet's right for you, or maybe the ketogenic diet is right for you. Learn everything you need to know in this complete guide to the ketogenic diet right here. Most people, they're crashing, brain turns off, they're checked out. So we want to make sure we utilize nutritional ketosis.